G'day mate, and welcome to part 2 of my 3-part series where I show you how to tame the big 3 wilderness bosses, RTO, Calvarion, and Spindle, while using their unique environments and attacks to your advantage to destroy absolutely everyone, make some easy money, and have a good time. Continuing on with Calvarion. Located northeast of Ferox at level 21 Wilderness, at the east end of the Graveyard of Shadows, we'll find the Skeletal Tomb, home to the big skeleton warlord Calvarion. Although Calvarion isn't the most dangerous boss of the 3, it is the most consistent, and will seriously test your footwork as it continuously rains down lightning throughout the lair before sending out a crushing attack with its shield while verbally abusing the shit out of you and calling in his boys for backup. But gang up and you'll be able to shred through absolutely anyone. While Calvarion never hits you directly, for its main attack it will continuously strike lightning throughout the lair and at any player's position every 5 ticks, dealing typeless damage with a max hit of 16 for any strike next to the player and 33 for a direct hit. But with a bit of footwork, its attacks are completely avoidable. When Calvarion's health first reaches 0, it will enter its enraged form, unleashing a massive lightning strike around itself while resetting its health and increasing its damage. In this form, the max hit from the lightning is raised by 1 up to 17 and 34. Then roughly every 20 seconds, if the targeted player is within melee distance, Calvarion will strike forward with its shield, dealing a massive but avoidable area attack with a max hit of 26. If hit, your attacks will also be disabled for 8 ticks. And lastly, when Calvarion reaches 50% health in each of its forms, it'll let the dogs out, spawning a set of skeletal hellhounds with a fairly accurate but fully protectable melee attack that has a max hit of 16 in the first form and 18 in their greater form. Catch another player when they're out and these good boys will be man's best friend. So when hunting another player down within Calvarion's lair, we'll need to keep on our toes and dodge the lightning strikes as much as possible while keeping our target locked in place, allowing Calvarion to constantly chip away at their health. The lightning alone isn't too punishing, so it's fine to take a few hits here and there, but combo them with your attacks and you'll have all the momentum. If you catch them with the dogs on them, their melee attacks can also do some decent damage, so work your opponent down with your magic and ranged while the dogs are nipping away. But make sure to dodge Calvarion's shield bash to avoid having your attacks disabled, giving them all the time they need to catch their breath. Calvarion's lair is quite small compared to the others, so if our target makes a run for it, we'll typically only get one chance at catching a freeze before they make it out, and if we catch, we'll want to make the most out of it. Either come in close to your target to bait some extra bolts onto them, or line up a stack of your ranged and magic attacks before dumping your specs and taking them out. Calvarion is only ever killed with melee, so you shouldn't have too much trouble from your target unless they're geared up to fight back, but you'll come up against a fair variety of armor from full melee sets to hides or robes. For pking, setups with a decent magic bonus and a high KO potential are best. A setup weighted towards magic accuracy will be more reliable for catching your TBs and entangles, giving you more opportunities to catch your target in the lair and a better chance to outlast if they make it out. While a setup weighted towards damage potential that can output a quick burst of damage in a short amount of time will allow you to capitalize on your opportunities more often and take your target down within the lair or before they make it too far. For your special attacks, the Ancient Gourdsword's extra damage and healing works best in an Outlast setup, while a Dagger to Voidwaker, the Armadillo Gourdsword, or any G-Maul combo is most suitable for a KO setup, giving you a chance to quickly overwhelm your target with all the extra damage from Calvarion before they make a run for it. But if you're intending to chase any runners into multi, it's best not to bring anything you're not prepared to lose. If they make it out of the lair, they'll typically either rush back in and go for a gap, go for a freeze escape, or just try to leg it. If they rush back in, they can roll the dice on getting a gap at the risk of getting caught in the lair again, but with the lair being quite short, if we aren't quick enough to follow, they can avoid our entangle and successfully make a run for it. If they do start running, most of the time they'll just be trying to make an escape, but beware of the multi-zones east and south as they could have backup, so chase into multi at your own risk. However, sometimes you'll come up against someone who's keen for the fight. Beware of the occasional vengeance and people trying to rush you at the entrance, and if they're fighting back within the lair, try to keep them locked down while dodging the lightning strikes in between hits. Make sure to save some combo food in case you get frozen, and to avoid getting specced out when they're unfrozen. Gain momentum early and you'll be sure to win the fight. Alright, now let's break down a few kills. Once we've scouted a player, we get ourselves ready and drop into the lair. We send a teleblock and entangle and start laying into our target. If all goes well, we'll catch them inside and Calvarion's attacks will start chipping away at their health as we combo them with our attacks and dodge the lightning strikes in between. We quickly line up a chance to send our specs and go in for the KO before they get a chance to make a run for it. If they've got melee armor, our magic attacks should be super accurate, giving us a good chance to sit back and fire some surges, waiting until we get a decent chance to come in and stack them out. Here our target's in some hides and his camping protects melee, so we come in close to bait some extra bolts onto them. Doing this can be a little risky since we often take a few hits ourselves, but the damage can really stack up on our opponent. We combo them out with a double Void Waker and there's nothing he can do about it. Now to be realistic, we're not always going to catch and KO our target in the lair and sometimes we'll have to give chase. Here our target is running straight for multi. We're a bit suspicious and not too keen to find out if they've got a team, so we go all out while we've got them in singles. We dump our specs and knock them out before they make it any further. But honestly, most of the time if our target runs into multi, they're just going to be bluffing, so you don't need to be too scared of following if you think it's worth it. Here our target runs straight into multi, but we call their bluff and follow them in. Now they've started to send it south, so at this point we're pretty confident they're alone. We stay on them and lock down the kill. Though with the lair being quite short, sometimes our target will put on a bit of footwork of their own. We splash our entangle and they make it to the exit, but they head straight back in and rush back through. They get to the exit again before we catch our entangle, allowing them to break the freeze, but we manage to keep up with them. They rush through again, but this time we catch them inside. We try to line up a KO, but don't quite get the RNG on our specs. We've taken a bit of damage now, so we use our combo eats to get our HP back up quickly. They go in and out once more before making a run for it, but we're still on their tail. We make sure not to click them too early so that we don't get stalled since we've just been hit by the dogs inside. We catch them once again and keep chipping away and trying to line up another KO, but fair play to them, they're tanking it pretty well. They make it down into multi, but after all that, I doubt they have a team, so we follow them in. Looks like they're all out of food as they start dropping some of their loot, so we swipe it up and catch them one last time and take them out. If you're new to pking and looking to get some practice in first while making some easy money to cover your setup, then taking out some bots is a great way to start. Bots are often programmed to detect and teleport from any other player in common pking gear, but if we enter the lair in a setup that doesn't set them off, we can scope them out for some easy kills. We say g'day and get no response, so we're sure we've got a bot here. To get the most amount of damage off, we wait until they're just about to spawn the hellhounds before exiting and re-entering the lair to make sure the dogs are set on them. We then quickly switch into our staff, pop our TB and catch our freeze. They don't put up too much of a fight, we just wear them down with our crossbow before landing a chainmail spec, turning off their run while stacking up some extra damage on top of the lightning and the dogs, and we easily combo them out. And even if they end up making it out of the lair, they're still a free kill. They'll typically just run south and won't fight back, so just keep slowly chipping away while keeping them frozen and locked in combat for as long as possible, and they'll fall over eventually. But when taking on actual players, things don't always go so smoothly. This is one of the wildest kills I've had here and is a good reminder to stay ready for anything. As we drop into the lair, we immediately get slapped for 72 damage from Calvarion's enrage attack, which is probably a bug since we should have a couple seconds grace when entering, but anyway, we catch our target before smashing down our food and potions. Now they've whipped out a crossbow to pressure us back. They go for the exit when they're unfrozen but send it straight back into the lair, but we're quick enough to catch them again. We try to line up a KO as usual, but they're eating it well and we don't get the RNG on our specs. We dodge Calvarion's shield bash and use our combo eats to get our HP back up and keep the pressure on. They make it out of the exit once more, but this time they've got a little surprise for us as they go for the Voidwaker rush, but we're just quick enough to eat up and get our prayer on for the second hit. At this point they're all out of tricks and admit defeat, but not before getting their flame on, while they somehow tank about 20 hits from 50 HP. We try to finish them off in style, but still can't do it. They go for one last run through the lair, but we bolt them on the way through and finish them off. Sit the fuck down, buddy. Sometimes you'll come up against someone that's ready for a fight, but if they've got some decent gear, they've probably got a decent risk. Here we've dropped in on a fella with some Verox, a chain mace and an Avernic, looking like an easy snack until they throw on their Elysian Spirit Shield. They eat up to full HP before whipping out some ranged gear and a ballista. They're fairly stacked, so we'll want to take momentum early. They pop a vengeance, but that's all good with me. As long as we play it smart, we'll have the upper hand with our freezes. We finally get a nice surge and go in for a stack. We get a decent chance with our dagger, but miss our spec on the Voidwaker. No luck on the follow-up as they run for the exit, but we've got them on the back foot now. We catch another freeze outside and keep chipping away as they put their Elysian back on and pull out a Voidwaker. They've given up their play early, so we'll make sure not to give them any chances. Looks like we've got him on the ropes as they start to head south and give up on fighting back, but without any freezes, he's not going anywhere. We brew back up to full HP in case he's trying to line up a venge stack. We get a decent surge as he pops a venge, but we follow up with a big dagger poke and send him back to Lumbridge. 3.8 mil loot, not too bad. And while I could cherry pick some loots and tell you that this is an amazing place to PK, in reality, most of the people you find here, especially Iron Men, won't be risking much at all and we'd be better off leaving them and looking for something better. But that doesn't mean we won't find some whales out here. My biggest PK at Calvarion was a little bit of a strange one. When we were out looking for some bots on the Pure, we spotted a higher level and some decent risks, so we hopped onto the main and went in. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to call anyone who can switch their gear a cheater, so you can judge for yourself, but he pulls off a 1-tick 5-way into some decent magic gear and sends a TB back at us. We're a bit suspicious after that, so we head outside to suss him out since we're a little outgeared. We can't seem to catch our TB, but he's keen for the fight as he pulls out his ZCB, so we start slapping him back. He's just praying to our weapons, so we start switching up our attacks and 1-tick into a big 51 bolt proc and he falls over for us without even eating. Easy 15 mil? I'll take it. But to give you a true feel for the average PK, let's send 3 kills in a row on my Pure and then on the main account to see what it's like at higher and lower combat levels. On the Pure, we'll be using the AGS and the G-Maul for our spec weapons, a great combo against low defense. First up, we hopped into a couple PVMers having a little turf war. The first guy's a little too high level for us, but we jump on to level 88 in monk robes. We catch them in the lair with the dogs on them, so we hit them with some ranged and magic before going in with a double G-Maul, but we're not done yet. They make it out and rush back through, but we hit them with a bally to keep them in combat and manage to keep up as they go for the run south. They catch us back with a nice barrage, but too early for them to get a log out, so we get ready to spam click them when they run south and break the freeze on us. We stay on them and start using the trees to avoid getting frozen again. He makes a run into multi, but we're keen to follow. We just about shit ourselves as another fella comes running in from the east, but it's just a random PVMer. Now our target is all out of food, so we go back in for the kill. Next up, we drop in on a level 103 and hides in a chain mace. We splash our TB and they make it outside, but looks like they forgot to teleport as they dip back into the lair. They dodge our entangle and get ahead, so we wait out front for them to exit again. We catch them beside the entrance and pop our TB before lining up a KO, but we noodle on our specs. We keep chipping away as they dip in and out of the lair and end up catching them inside. We get a decent bit of damage, but not enough to take them out. They exit and run through once more before making their run for it, but we keep up and catch them again. They complain about our freeze RNG and run north, so I'm guessing they haven't realized that I'm 19 levels lower than them and all they have to do is run a couple levels south. So this one's on you, my guy. They're all out of supplies now and we finish them off with the ballista. The last guy we find on the Pure is a level 99 and a cheap monk robe setup. We catch our TB, but they're out of the exit before we get a chance to entangle. They're straight onto the run, but we catch them outside and get some big RNG right away. We go in for a stack off our Surge and take them out with an AGS and a G-Maul into the afterlife. Not a bad KO. Now let's check out this loot. 600k for the first key, a little bit of boss loot and some ether from his chain mace. 350k from the second, mostly ether, not much else. And only 120k from the last, can't expect too much from the budget setups. Still, that's a little over 1 mil all up for about 15 minutes work. 4 mil an hour without any big kills, that's not bad for a med level. Now let's see what we find over on the main. We drop in on a level 104 and manage to freeze them inside. Calvarion starts coming through with some nice hits as we combo them down and send a quick Abbey Dagger spec and take this man out in just a few hits. Good kill. No need to bank, we go straight back in for the second kill. The next fellow we catch is a level 115 with a chain mace. We catch them in the back of the lair and they pull out a crossbow to fight back. We go for a quick stack, but no luck this time. He hits us with a chain mace spec, disabling our run, but we're lucky enough to catch him with our second freeze even after messing up our switch. We go for another surge into a Void Waker spec before donking him out with a big whack. And for the last kill, we catch a level 106 and a cheap proselyte setup with one of the dogs on him. He's camping protect from melee, so we just sit back and fire some surges before coming in and specking him out with the Void Waker. That was a little unfair. Now let's see what we get. Okay, fair difference in loot there. 470k for the first one, average chain mace kill, a bit of ether and boss loot. 1.2 mil from the second. Looks like we got some parchment cash as well, pretty good. And just 180k from the last. Well, that's what we get for hitting a budget setup. 1.9 mil all up, but we had some quick kills this time. A bit less than 15 minutes, so let's call it about 8 mil an hour. So that was about 4 mil an hour on the Pure and 8 mil an hour on the main. Not quite as much as RTO and Spindle, but still pretty decent and much less of a dangerous place to PK, making it a great starting point for players looking to get into PvP. Another good thing about this place being a fairly safe and low level spot within the wilderness is that we do find a fair mix of lower level and less experienced PKers out here, as well as some fair competition. So if you want to be the big dog of Calvarion's lair, then taking on the other PKers will be the most challenging but also the most fun and rewarding. When I was out hunting for bots, I did come across a few PKers while in this setup, so of course we're going to bait them into a fight. Here on my pure, we've been hit by level 99 in a bit of a rag setup. We let him TB us and start whacking him back with our chain mace to butter him up. We hit him with a TB before heading over to the entrance and fighting back a little bit more. He's sitting pretty low, so we try to line up a kill here, but no luck with our damage. Now we want to let him think he's got the advantage before heading into the lair, so we play it slow and bait our HP. We're starting to get a little bit low on supplies, so we dip into the lair to line him up for a KO. He eventually follows and we go for a freeze. We splash a few times, but we eventually catch as he catches us back. We're both going to be taking some damage here, so we get some hits off before we need to eat and get a big surge combined with Calvarion's attacks and he falls over quickly. Only a 500k key there with an extra 100k on top, but that wasn't the biggest one we got while doing this. This next one was an early clip before I cleaned up my game settings, so forgive me for the inventory tags, but we logged into another pure and baited him into attacking us. We send a TB right back at him and get straight into the fight. We're well outgeared here, so no messing about. We want to go for a KO and get out of here. He's standing under us between hits, so as soon as we're unfrozen, we go for a freeze and start hitting him back with it. We get a big surge, giving us a chance to go in with the dagger spec, almost taking him out here. We follow up with the chainmail spec to keep him on the ropes, and the belly comes through for the KO. Quick little 8.3 mil anti-PK. Over on the main, as we were midway through hunting down a PVMR, we had another PKer and Mystics drop in on us. They're already skulled, so we switch our focus and send a TB at them. Looks like they want nothing to do with us as they run in and out of the lair, but we catch them on the third time around. As always, we go in hard while we've got them trapped in the Thunderdome. We get a decent dagger to Voidwaker combo, but they eat it well and we both get smacked by Calvarion's shield attack. They make it out again and try to juke us with a bit of footwork, but we're not falling for it this time. We catch them in the lair again and keep on pressuring them. We combo a nice dagger spec with Calvarion's shield bash and now we've got them on the ropes. A few more hits before Calvarion comes through and strikes him down. Good fight, mate. 750k loot, might have been better off staying on the PVMer. And lastly, as we were hopping through worlds, we had another PKer rock up on us. We're in a KO focus setup, so we pop our TB straight away and get straight into the fight. We catch our first freeze, so we start kiting around the coffin in between hits to give them a hard time and take early momentum. We get a decent bolt and go in with the dagger spec followed up with a Voidwaker. The damage isn't quite there, but we've taken a strong start and we pop another freeze to keep them under control. While we're unfrozen, we use our more accurate ranged and melee attacks while faking some gear swaps to try and catch them off prayer. They're in an Eclipse set which has a fast attack speed and can do some serious damage in quick bursts when comboed with a spec, but doesn't offer much defense or accuracy, so we'll want to be careful when they're unfrozen, but if we play it smart and keep them locked down, we should be able to keep on top. We spot them sitting on low HP while trying to catch a freeze, so we get some distance before going in off a surge and stacking them out with a spec. Barely even a scratch on us and we get 14.5 mil. And that'll be all for part 2 of how to PK the big 3 Wilderness singles bosses. Drop a sub and a like if you enjoyed and make sure to check out part 1 for some extra tips and tricks if you haven't, and stay tuned for the final episode at my favourite boss, Spindle. Peace.